Hello, this is James from the PlayStation blog. I'm here with Simon Barlow from Evolution Studios. We're here at the launch party for, not the launch party, is it? It's the party to celebrate Motorstorm Apocalypse.
It's a celebration, yeah.
It's coming very soon. So I want to talk mainly about online, 'cause it's not
cool.
something we've done much on the blog so far. And if we go back to Pacific Rift,
Yep.
What were the biggest learnings from that? What did you find that people were looking for from the online experience?
I think in general, Motorstorm Pacific Rift had a fairly solid online experience in terms of the actual core racing. People really responded well to it, and it's still being played today. It's still a very popular title online. What we did learn though was, I think, something that we didn't really anticipate was just how far other games would push the online experience, borrowing a lot from kind of role-playing games and MMOs and stuff like that to really enhance the core experience. So, although our racing was tight, the stuff that surrounded it was fairly rudimentary at the time. And one thing we've tried to do with Motorstorm Apocalypse is bring the game bang up to date and then try and go beyond a little bit, if you like. So, what we're offering now is not only full 16-player online racing. We're also supporting two-player split-screen racing online as well. So you can take part with a buddy on a sofa and join an online title. And that kind of seamless blend of offline and online play is something that we're really passionate about, because I think a lot of people are put off by the online experience. They feel a little bit intimidated by it. And one thing we didn't want to happen was for people to miss out on this, because it's at least 50% of the game, if not more so, at least for us. And we've put so much content into it this time around. We wanted everybody to see it. So the easier we can make that for people, the more accessible we can make that, the better, really. And we can hopefully have equally, if not more so, a thriving community than we had on Pacific Rift.
When you mentioned bringing the game up to date, a sense that you're sort of touching on things like perks, which are an absolute staple of shooters now.
Yeah.
How are they earned in the game and how are they used?
Okay, so we have a kind of a rank-based system, which uses it's experience-based, but we use poker chips. It's a currency that's much more familiar to kind of Motorstorm players. It's something that fits the game rather than just a kind of a nebulous concept of experience. But it's something that people are going to be familiar with. But the content that we unlock and the way that those chips are actually unlocked is a little bit different. And as I said before, we wanted to bring something a bit new to the table. So we're familiar to fans of shooters, I think, but then there's going to be something in there that maybe people won't have seen before. So, chips can be earned through standard racing, through wrecking people out, through drifting and airtime, and just showing off on the track. So just through racing, you can earn experience to rank up. But we've also got this other feature, which is betting, basically. What this allows you to do is, during every race, on a playlist that betting's enabled, you can effectively wager against somebody in the next race, somebody you think you're going to be able to beat. So you pick a rival, basically, and each person in the lobby is worth a certain amount of chips depending on their recent form. So you've got to gamble, really. You've got to think to yourself, well, okay, that guy's worth a lot of chips, but do I really think I can beat him? Maybe I should aim a little bit lower. And you kind of hedge your bets a little bit, or you take a massive risk and just bet on the guy that's rated number one and see if you can really take him to the cleaners. At the end of a race, if you happen to beat them, you earn those chips, they go into a little bonus pot, and then you've got another gamble. You can either cash those chips in immediately to add to your total and help you rank up a bit quicker, or you can gamble them for the next race. And what this means is it increases like a hot streak multiplier, so the potential winnings on the next race are even more increased. Now, the risk reward then is, how far can I push this hot streak? How many times can I successfully win a bet before I have to cash them in?
I'm not very technical, that's why I work in marketing, but it seems to me, even to me, that the more variables that you've got, things like perks, it makes balancing all the more difficult. How's that worked?
It definitely does. It's tricky. Balancing is one of those things that we've gotten quite good at recently. Over the previous games, we had multiple vehicle types, and we were the first game really to introduce multiple vehicle types racing simultaneously, and that was a balancing nightmare for us. We'd never done anything like it before. Nobody else had done anything like it before. So we had no benchmark really. We just had to learn as we went along, and so through that process, we got pretty good at it. And we got a bit cocky. So, we introduced 5 new vehicle classes into this game, which was, we had 1 new vehicle class in the previous game, and going from that to 5 is, to add 13 vehicle classes in total is kind of crazy, really. But there are certain techniques that you pick up, and through refinement of your own processes, it just makes it a bit easier. So, all the added complexities, I guess, of online they weren't undertaken lightly. We knew we were getting into a whole world of hurt in the long run. But by the same token, as players, as gamers, this is the sort of experience you crave, So there was no reason for us to aim any lower than that. We had to deliver something that was really exciting, really rewarding, that fans of shooters would pick up immediately and think, oh, this is it's familiar to me, it's something I'm comfortable with. Maybe they don't play racing games, but this one might appeal for those reasons. But then the little added extras we've got on top of it, like the betting, like the subtleties and the perks that again change the balancing of the vehicle classes slightly. All of these little added extras are just kind of new ways for people to enjoy the game without always having to win all the time. It's not just about crossing the finish line first.
Getting down onto the track or the road or whatever it may be, it seems to me like Pacific Rift, the setting, it lended itself more to quite wide open environments, whereas a city, that's not the first thing you think of, wide open environments. Is it a much more you had tracks like Sugar Rush in Pacific Rift that were quite built up, but is it a much more intricate game? Is it what do you think of that?
Yeah, it was a challenge for us because the one thing that people, you don't necessarily take it for granted, but the one thing that I think catches you unawares when you go into somewhere like a city or a much more confined environment is the camera. And nobody ever really thinks about that. So we took Pacific Rift, when we first started doing our early tests, we basically took the framework of that game, how everything was set up, and then just dumped it straight in a city. We built up this kind of grey box environment. And the camera just didn't work, it just doesn't look right because suddenly your field of view is all wrong. The sensation of speed's all wrong, the scale's all wrong. So we had to redress that, and we re-engineered the camera system and then built the scale of the game from the cameras. And that has a huge, huge difference. This is a bit of a trade secret, really. I'll give it away now. But people that make first-person games know all about this stuff, and it was something we hadn't anticipated. So that was a challenge in itself, really. The other issue was, how do you make this many tracks? We've got like 40 races in this game. How do you make them all unique if the environment's essentially a grey concrete kind of an environment? And what we had to do was take, the game's set in a fictional West Coast city. We had to take inspiration pretty much from the whole of California to get this right. So you've got the kind of the urban sprawl of LA in there with the kind of the giant skyscrapers. You've also got some of the subtleties of like further up the coast, so towards San Francisco and the Bay Area. So we can introduce some beach areas. We can introduce sort of parkland and things like that. And in order to kind of dial back into the Pacific Rift feel. So there's a couple of tracks in the game in particular that will be, fans of the previous games in the series will warm to because they're a bit more familiar. So we took that as our starting point and then moved from there. So it'll go from, there are wide open environments in the game, and then there are the more confined city areas. What we wanted was just that variety, really, and that was the way we had to do it to succeed.
And just to finish. Ever since this game was announced, you guys have been like a bit of an open book. This interview is a bit challenging because you've got to keep thinking of new things, especially people that are really familiar with the previous Motorstorm games. What do you think is going to surprise them on release day?
I just think the sheer scale of it, to be honest. It was that's what surprised us when we were creating it anyway. Pacific Rift and the original Motorstorm were fairly focused, tight, self-contained games. This is just vast. It's absolutely massive on all fronts. The single-player experience is story-driven. There's a whole narrative campaign. There's 3 different difficulty levels. There's 5 new vehicle classes. There's 40 tracks. This is massive compared to the previous ones. Coupled with all the online components, this massively overhauled online mode, coupled with the new hardcore festival mode, the quick race, the time trial, it's just, the scale of it is just immense. Now, we've talked about it, and we are an open book. We want to sell the game. We want people to be excited about it because we're excited about it. But I think when people actually put the disc in their console and boot it up for the first time, the sheer wealth of content available to them, I think it's pretty good value for money, to be honest.
All right. Well, thanks, Simon. We'll look forward to it.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care, mate.
Cheers.